Sprinter slash cargo van ownership at 6 months. I'll share with you my thoughts, my progress, and observations on this segment of the Gig Geezer. Today is Sunday, June 11, 2023. And while it is not exactly my 6-month anniversary for having completed the transaction for this Sprinter slash cargo van, I'm already starting with content for this 6-month update of my ownership of this Sprinter slash cargo van. And while I'm at it, since it is Sunday, I have just finished what I feel is a rather long day today, in which it was a grind here in the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area. And for me, what is a grind is when you know that your market doesn't yield a lot of money on certain days, and you know that you're going to have to really put in some work to make the money that you need to make. In this particular case, I put in a little over 9 hours. Yes, 9 hours today, and I finished at $251 and change. And for the week, I made over $1,570, and I put in about 52 hours this week. And this is a week in which I did not top $300 or more in earnings at not a single day that I worked, and I put in 6 days this week. In recent Gig Geezer segments, I've mentioned that in order for me to get where I like to be with earning $200 to $2,500 a week, I need a lot of $300 and $400 days, just for starters. But that said, I actually had recorded content. I'd actually done one take of content for this particular segment of the Gig Geezer, but I decided, no, I don't want to go that way, or I just didn't like the way it went. And so I think this is a little more authentic, the fact that I am ending a week and ending a day's grind. And that just goes to show that there's nothing easy about the ownership and operation of a Sprinter slash cargo van. There are a lot of folk who are interested and really want to get into it because they see that this is their way of taking things to another level. This is their way to put themselves in a position to give them for a greater capacity of earning opportunities. And I agree with you. But that said, you really have to put in your homework. You really have to put in the mental work in addition to the physical work to get anywhere close to what you're doing. Now, I know that there are detractors who are going to say, "Oh hell, I could do that with my Honda Civic and my Hyundai Elantra and my Nissan Sentra and my Ford Fiesta. I don't need no fucking Sprinter slash cargo van. I don't need to waste my money on something like that." And you know what? You may be right. But as I've often responded to people, can you place a 2,000-pound pallet in the back of your Sentra, your Elantra, your Civic, or your Fiesta? Can you, in certain situations, place it in the back of your Toyota Tacoma pickup truck, or your Nissan Frontier, or even your Ford Ranger? So, as I've shared in this segment of the Gig Geezer, I mentioned about how size equal money. But that's not really my foray with this segment of the Gig Geezer. This is about my ownership after 6 months. What are some of the things that I've learned? What are some of the things that I've accomplished? What are some of the things I haven't accomplished thus far? Well, let's just talk about some of the lessons learned. Probably the chief lesson that I've learned is my miscalculation of being able to incorporate earning money by brokering load opportunities and transporting them over a certain distance, either in-state, regionally, or over the road. That's where I came up with my strategy, thinking that I could earn $2,000 to $2,500 a week by being able to transport opportunities at the most 500 miles. 500 miles, that's like what, 7, 8 hours of driving. That's something I could do all within one day, be home that evening, and so forth. And I figured I maybe could do it once, at most twice a week. That's all I was looking for. I wasn't looking to be on the road, a week, 2 weeks at a time. I just wanted to go on the road 1, maybe 2 days out of the week. Well, after 6 months, I have transported 5 road opportunities in which they were brokered opportunities. 5. One of them was in this segment of the Gig Geezer, where I shared I went from Charlotte to San Antonio. My most recent one was in this segment of the Gig Geezer, where I transported a load from Charleston, South Carolina, over to Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is just south of Charlotte. And it is what it is. Now, the miscalculation again is because I thought that I could incorporate that type of money earned. And I thought that, for example, if I were to transport something from, let's say, from Columbia or even Spartanburg or Greenville, South Carolina, up to Richmond, Virginia, which is a 5, maybe 6 hour drive, and you're covering about 375 miles, I'm thinking that an opportunity like that could pay anywhere between $500 and $750. And maybe there was a time that it was, but as recent as this past week, I had a broker to send me an offer like that for $325. I counter offered at $375, and then when I called, they said, "Well, the most we can go is $350." And I said, "Well, I guess you'll be looking for somebody else to do it. It won't be me." Of course, now why did I think $375? Well, I'm just thinking, well, it'll be something to do that day, but also I may be able to find something on the way back from Richmond. That was really my thinking. I'd get to Greenville early that morning, get to Richmond early afternoon, and somewhere's along the way back, maybe find an opportunity or two to get me over $400, maybe $500 that day. But that's not the way the transport business is going right now. As what many people know, Sprinter van opportunities based on mile rates have been pretty horrible. Although I can say with my 5 opportunities, every last one of them paid over $1 a mile. But I can't say that, not everyone can say that, and I'm not saying that in an arrogant sense. But I know that at least in my strategy, again, as I've shared so far, it caused me to have to rethink very quickly how I was going to go about doing things. Now, another lesson that I learned over these 6 months was about in order to do those brokered opportunities, you had to have an authority. You had to have your authority. That MC number that I've shared in this segment of the Gig Geezer and in other segments of the Gig Geezer in recent weeks and months. And having a new authority does not give you immediate carte blanche with the brokers and the shippers. In fact, many of them require you to have at a minimum 30 days. There are some that will deal with brand new authorities, but the ones that I have seen, or I've tried to apply for carrier packets and all, they're looking at 60, 90, 180, 270, and 365 days with you having active authority time. And so along those lines, I will hit the 6-month mark next month in July. Towards the end of July, I will have my authority 6 months, 180 days, and there are some places that I will be applying for through their carrier setup packet, and hopefully I may be able to gain access to their load boards, in which I may find better offers out there. Another thing that I've learned is as it relates to dispatchers, I'm finding that while yes, I have a dispatcher, what has happened with me and my dispatchers that there's not been much to talk about. What I've found is that a lot of dispatchers don't want to deal with Sprinter/cargo van owners at this time. The market is not worth their while with a Sprinter/cargo van owner operator. They rather deal with box trucks and larger equipment, and really ideally people with active authority time of 6 months or more, because they feel then they may be able to find opportunities for them. They only get paid when that driver is getting paid. And so I understand that. I'm not mad at any of them. And then again, I'm not mad with what's going on with me and my dispatcher. We've talked about this many a times, and so I understand I understand her position on things, and no, she's not gotten rid of me, but yet the market hasn't allowed her to find opportunities for me, and so it is what it is. Now, what are some of the things that I've accomplished? I guess the biggest accomplishment is that I've made it to 6 months. There are people who don't make it to 6 months for whatever reason, but I've made it to 6 months, and as I've shared in frequent updates, my earnings, just strictly on Sprinter/Cargo Van earnings, I have earned over 40,000, and overall I've earned over 42,000, and we're not even out of the month of June. Just this year, I'm at over $40,000 in earnings. And again, overall, if I just count strictly Sprinter/Cargo Van earnings, it is over 40,000. But here, not to confuse you, as you can tell here with the graphics, hopefully that'll give you a better explanation what I'm talking about. Now, how have I done that? If I've only had 5 brokered opportunities, that means I have made the rest of the money on gig apps. And I am not ashamed that I have been operating gig food delivery apps and the combination of last mile gig apps. There are some people who kind of look down on me for doing that, saying that, hey, that's menial shit, and you're not making any money. You need to be out there on the road. Okay, well, I'm not willing to go out there driving 2 or 3 weeks at a time to make the same money. And that's been one of my consistent arguments. I'm making the same money as a lot of folk who are driving 2-3 weeks at a time, and I'm home every night seeing the queen of my life. And by the way, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer and any other segment of Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. Now, the accomplishment of actually making money and having made it to 6 months, I also can say, as I've showed in other segments of the Gig Geezer, as like in this one, I have operated at a profit, even though I may be identifying as expenses for my operations, maybe a few more expenses than what most may identify for their operation. What it amounts to is that since I'm also a licensed insurance agent, and the address that I use for both the address that I use as a office location or business location, they're the same address, and so there are expenses that there are basically shared expenses that I am using for my Sprinter/Cargo Van operations, and so my earnings per mile may be less than what some may claim. In fact, my earnings per mile may be more. It may be closer to that desired dollar per mile if I didn't identify certain expenses. But that said, what are some other accomplishments? The other accomplishment is that, you know what? If you had asked me this question 2 years ago, I probably would have given you a blank stare. In June of 2021, June 2021, I had bowled in 2 high-level scratch tournaments. One of the tournaments, I lasted 3 games before I got pissed off with the approaches because they were so sticky. And I packed up and left after 3 games out of 8. And then the next tournament that I bowled in a few days later, I started out well. I was in the top 10 after the first 2 games of qualifying, and then I didn't make it to the next round because in game 3, I didn't read the transition correctly on the lanes. I didn't read the lane transition correctly, or I didn't make the correct adjustments, and so it took me that 3rd game to figure it out. And when I did figure it out, I kind of made it back up to about 25th out of 60 bowlers, but it didn't get me to the next round. In fact, here is the actual here's the actual score sheet from that tournament with the games that I bowled. But anyway, well, okay, I just taken on my glasses because I just backed into the gig compound's driveway, and so I'm continuing on with this conversation with you. Um, as I mentioned about with the bowling, with bowling this time 2 years ago, what I ended up doing not long after that last tournament that I bowled in, which happens to be the last one that I have bowled in to date, I turned around and bought like 6 new bowling balls. And the crazy thing about it is I've yet to drill any of those. They're sitting in there. In fact, here's a picture of where I keep all my bowling balls. And like I said, there's 6 of them that haven't been drilled. But if I go back a year ago, well, I had already been uploading content here on the Gig Geezer channel, and I was talking about the slowdown and the changing economic conditions that I had seen with the gig economy and the gig food delivery apps. In fact, this is one of the segments that I uploaded in which I was sharing how to make $200 a day amid the slowing times, or the slow economy that's out there. Um, at both points, at both junctures, operating a sprinter slash cargo van was nowhere on the radar. Wasn't even thinking about it. Nowhere thinking about it. And yet here I am. I'm sitting in this piece of equipment, and it is my primary. It is the means by which I make the money that I make. Now, just on a more personal thought. Now, yes, I call myself the geezer, and for good reason. Um, I mean, I'm looking at retirement age. Retirement age is like this with me. Social Security age is like right here with me, and one of the things that I often have asked myself when I've had days like this or weeks like this, which haven't been many, but just days like this or times during the day where it just seems to be hard to make the dollars that you want to make, I've asked myself, why am I doing this? Why in the fuck am I doing this stuff? This is not about me. This is not a source of my enjoyment. If I wanted to enjoy something or have a source of enjoyment, something I really would like to do, it would be me picking up a 16-pound sphere and aiming at a target about 40 feet down a synthetic wood surface at these at 10 spheroid type objects 60 feet away. That would be my source of enjoyment, bowling. But yet, realistically, based on the money that I have earned, there's not many things that's going to make me this type of money. If I were an insurance agent, I'd have to have $1 million book of business, pretty much $1 million book of business to make the money that I'm making right now operating a sprinter slash cargo van. And I often tell folk, when it comes to insurance and the money that you make, you have to write a lot of policies to make what you make. And there's a lot of headaches and a lot of time involved with writing policies. And you also got to deal with individuals and personalities and all that stuff. And that can be very time consuming and somewhat annoying. But yet, I'm also one who likes my autonomy. I'm the one who likes my freedom, as what I shared in this segment of the Gig Geezer. And I like really being to myself. And operating a sprinter slash cargo van allows me to be to myself. When I'm out here, I'm thinking about making money, and I guess that's a good thing. But really and truly, if I were to try to look for a W-2, there's not many jobs that's going to pay me 80,000+ a year off the street. If I were to try to get back into media, like as a newspaper reporter, if they look at what year I finished from college, they don't want me because I'm seen as a dinosaur. I'm someone from a different era, a different time, different era, a different century, and they don't want me. This is all about what you've done lately. And the last story that I've done as a newspaper reporter was in February 2000. So I'm beyond yesterday's news. I'm last century's news. So I'm very much committed to what I'm doing at this juncture. And one of the, and I guess at the 6 month mark of ownership and operation, yes, I'm looking ahead. I'm thinking about what will be my next move. I mean, obviously the main move that I made was switching from doing primarily gig food delivery work, operating out of my F-150 to this Sprinter/cargo van. But I also realized that, as I shared, since size equals money, size equals opportunities, the next opportunity for me may be the pursuit of a box truck. Now, what size box truck, I've yet to decide on, but I understand the advantages of, I know there's primarily three sizes. There's a 16-foot, 24-foot, and 26-foot. Those are the primary ones that people talk about. And there's advantages of a 16 and there's advantages of a 26 or 24. The bottom line is that there are opportunities to be made operating a Sprinter, operating a box truck. But will it be something in 2023? I can't answer that. Will it be something in 2024? More of a possibility, but I invite you to continue to watch my experiences as I share here on the Gig Geezer channel. And by the way, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer and any other segment of Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. As I shared, I actually had come up with a different, if you will, a script of what I wanted to share in this segment of the Gig Geezer. But I decided that I'm just going to talk from, as some say, the heart, and from what's within me. And what's within me is the fact that there are two words that also come to mind in terms of things that I've learned with owning a Sprinter/cargo van. One of them is consistency. The other is sustainability. Now, I'd like to think that I've been rather consistent with my earnings, regardless of the fact that I've not hit $2,000, $2,500, that $2,000 to $2,500 corridor as often as I'd like, or translated earning anywhere between $8,000 and $9,000 a month. I've only done that once, and that was in March. But I've also been rather consistent in that I'm consistently earning at least $7,000 a month. So that is an improvement from where I was this time last year. This time last year, I was talking of consistently earning $6,000 a month. But I am, at least based on my numbers, and I shared it in this segment of the Gig Geezer, how I was 12% ahead of last year. I am more like now 15% ahead of what I was last year. And that's significant, because I'm not saying it can't be done though, but isn't it nice to be able to say that you're making 15% more than you did this time last year? That's pretty good. I mean, how many W-2s give someone a 15% raise? You'd be lucky to get a 2% raise or a 3% raise on a lot of W-2 jobs. And so that speaks to, I guess, some type of determination on my part to make things work. And that's why I say that I'm committed to what I'm doing. I mean, hell, you just don't just randomly. I did not randomly just go out and get a Sprinter/cargo van. I did try to do my homework with this, and I saw that there was a possibility of making it work. And so, hopefully, what I'm sharing with you is actually an inspiration or an incentive for you to do your homework and to explore your option as pursuing ownership and operation of a Sprinter/cargo van. The next planned update that I'd like to share with you is going to be at 1 year, and that's going to be in December. And I may do another update after maybe next month about having 6 months active authority. But with respect to, but I really believe that 1 year is going to be a real good telltale sign as to where I am in terms of my ownership and operation of a Sprinter/cargo van, because statistically, it is my understanding that 1 out of 4 transportation businesses fail within the first year. And so I'm halfway through the first year, and I'm not among that 1 out of 4. And so I guess that, again, that's a good thing. The fact that I am here to tell you that I'm still in operation, that's really the main thing. I also will share with you that I don't believe that there's no magic bullet. There's no magic formula in terms of how to get into this business and how to make it work. A lot of that is market related in terms of where you are. But also a lot of it is really going to be dependent upon you and what you're willing to put in, the time and effort. If you think that you can get into this and make a lot of money fast, you're in the wrong business. If you think that folk like myself and others are just going to willfully share information with you and give you all the ins and outs of what I know and what we know up collectively, as in terms of our collective knowledge and experiences, if you think people are going to do that, you're in the wrong game. Because I will say this personally, and maybe it's just a reflection of me. A lot of what I have asked questions. The main questions that I asked was about authority, about having my authority. Is it to my advantage or disadvantage? And the people that I spoke to, they said it wouldn't hurt you. And I shared that type of information on this segment of the Gig Geezer. But with respect to other facets of Sprinter/cargo van ownership and operation, those are things that I researched and found out for myself. There's no shortcuts in life. There are no shortcuts. The shortcuts that you take may lead to your misfortune, and that's putting it nicely. I know, like as a bowler, I've not talked in these terms though, but I didn't start out being a 200 plus average bowler. It took me time to get there. And as I've shared with a lot of people with my experience with becoming a 200 average bowler, I was a precocious asshole teenager kicking ball return racks and foul lights, averaging $140, maybe $150, $160. And the guy that I approached, Cleo Hicks, the first thing he told me was, if you listen, I'll help you become a better bowler. But it took me 3 years before I listened to him. And when I listened to him, that's when I became a 200 plus average bowler. And I've been a 200 plus average bowler for just about 40 years. So that's just one example. I wasn't a good high jumper the first day I went out on the pit. It took a lot of time on the practicing and putting my time in the weight room, putting my time in workouts and on the track and so forth. And over time, I became a pretty good high jumper. So it's the same thing with any business. I mean, if you have great success starting out, great. But the question is sustainability. And that's what I was getting at. I spoke of consistency, but there's also sustainability. What you're trying to do is, if you've committed to something like this, you're trying to stay in it for the long haul. And that is why that's why I've kind of shared with my queen why I'm so hard on myself in terms of trying to accomplish certain things, because I know that the decisions I make may affect me immediately and down the road. And these are things that I'm trying to share with you in this segment of the Gig Geezer. And again, hopefully what I've shared has been of some inspiration, some information, and hopefully it will help you in making the decision whether owning and operating a Sprinter/cargo van is something that you really want to pursue and you feel that is to your advantage. And with that, this is yet another segment of the Gig Geezer. If you like the content that's been provided in this segment or in any other segment, hit that subscribe button. Give my content a thumbs up. Share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm Inwood Lane, and as always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.